Hello again. This video is going to be on the subject of the Mashiach. I don't know if you're familiar with Mashiach, what that means. It refers to the Jewish Messiah, Mashiach. And why that is important and how that's going to play a major role in the events of the coming years, that comes to a head against the backdrop of the Great Awakening that is happening all over the planet. This is my take on it. Only yesterday I came across a very interesting documentary or film called Finding Moshiach by Beryl Solomon. A very moving, emotional account of this one person's, this Orthodox Jew businessman and his search for meaning. A kind of propaganda film for Moshiach. Most people who have any familiarity with Judaism will know that that's not referring to Jesus Christ, who is not regarded as a Messiah, a true Messiah by Jews. Why is it important? I say it's important because it's obvious that the whole world is run by this Abrahamic belief system. It has its operating system, the Abrahamic belief system, the Torah, the Ten Commandments, and the belief in God, the Abrahamic creator God. And the Messiah, the coming of the Messiah, is central to the belief system of the Jews. And really it is, it's not anti-Semitic to state the obvious, that it's Jews who occupy the positions of power, temporal power, on planet Earth, in the Western world, certainly. I mean, that's just a fact. So it's not surprising that their belief system controls the narrative. But most non-Jews, Gentiles, are completely unaware of this. It's been my experience. And I only came aware of it in the last 10 or 15 years, through my own interest in Judaism, Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism. And so I came to my own insights about this. I'm not a Jew, never practiced Judaism in any serious way, and I have no intention of doing so. I said thank you very much, although I had close friends who were Jewish at school, very close friends, and I visited a synagogue and went to a bar mitzvah, and all well and good. It's very interesting. The whole phenomenon of Mashiach is coming up against the backdrop of October the 7th, and that against the backdrop of the COVID pandemic. So to me, it looks very much like this is all a bit of a setup. It's been set up. Who it's been set up by, I've gone into in some depth in my previous video, Jesus, what he really meant by the kingdom of heaven. And I refer to the Sabbatean Frankists, the Illuminati cult, but I'll go into that a little bit further on. It's not a conspiracy theory. You can check this out for yourself. They exist. Maybe it's best, as in the sanest, most intelligent option. Let's see how the Jews see this. The rise of anti-Semitism is causing them to adhere more fervently to this belief in a savior figure who will come and absolve them of the suffering, and usher in an era of peace and freedom for all humanity. But what they don't, what they also believe is that this is going to happen after a cataclysmic war and the building of the third temple by the Beit HaMikdash, by the Mashiach, and probably the vast number of Gentiles will be slaughtered, and that's not a very pleasant prospect, I think, for any of us. But that is, in fact, in their some of their writings, their sacred writings, the Talmud and other, the Zohar. Getting back to this this idea of Mashiach as the band-aid, the cure, the panacea for all their ills. Maybe it's best as in the sanest and most intelligent option, to view the whole phenomenon metaphorically, in that there's a great worldwide awakening going on, a great awakening, not just for Jews, but for all people as they discover through meditation and spiritual practice that God and the kingdom of heaven is within themselves and all around, wherever they are, wherever they look. And that's a mystical state, or a state of enlightenment. And, the trappings and dogmas of each particular religious faith are not going to get you to that place as quickly as simplicity and clarity and thinking things through. Positing a Messiah figure, somebody or some event that's going to happen in the future that will bring that state of redemption, state of gnosis, theosis, any closer is a mistake in my opinion. And the more that you short the time from time frame in which this event should happen from some point in the future to the present moment, the better chance you have of experiencing what you're seeking, which is redemption, God, Mashiach, gnosis, salvation, which always happens here and now. And I speak from my own experience as an experienced mystic of 30, 40 odd years, most of my adult life. For Jews, Hasidic Jews, the Baal Shem Tov recommended Devekut, which is adherence to God through spiritual practice, and in particular through divine remembrance of the divine name, the name of God. A practice I actually practiced for a while, using the divine name, I am. And he claimed in one of his visions, he met Moshiach and asked him, well, when will you come? And the Moshiach told him, well, when your ways are widespread, when your well springs have spread out, that means when everyone's practicing Devekut, like you are. And I can say that's probably right on. Judaism and its rabbis have made false predictions since its inception, especially concerning the Moshiach. You can read in SANHEDRIN 98a to 99a, the Talmud, all the different opinions about when will Mashiach come, what will be his name, and they're all divergent. They don't have any unanimity in that sense. And most recently, Rav KEDURI, the Sephardic rabbi of Jerusalem, who passed away, said the Mashiach would come after the death of ARIEL SHARON. After him, Rabbi CHAIM KANIEVSKY stated that Mashiach would come in the summer of the Israeli elections in 2018. And, no show, again. If you look at the notable false Jewish messiahs, they include Jesus of Nazareth, Shimon Bar Kokhba, David Reubeni, Miguel Cardozo, Shabbatai Zevi, who I mentioned in an earlier video, Jacob Frank, co-founder of the Illuminati with the Rothschilds, and Jacob Rothschild, the current candidate, who I say is probably most likely lined himself up as a candidate messiah. All of these were failed, so that's a statistical record, very poor record statistically speaking. Instead of 100%, a 0% success rate in predicting the Messiah. So I wonder if it's very intelligent to put one's faith in the utterances of rabbis who are just human after all. I came across Rabbi Lawrence Hagioff, who's also very knowledgeable about the Jewish Messiah, Moshiach as he's known. And this is very much the problem with Judaism, in my opinion. Modern Judaism is this atavism and tendency to presentism. You're looking at events in the present with goggles, with lenses of the present. You're looking at past events and projecting them onto the present, the events that took place in that were written about in the Torah 2,000-3,000 years ago, and projecting them onto the present, presentism. And this is, just absolutely, it's crazy, absolutely crazy if you ask me. I mean, you're talking about people who are completely different from you. You are not the same people. I mean, this is what he said in his videos. There's no relation whatsoever between the Egyptian government of today and the Egypt, the Mizrahim of antiquity. We, though, happen to be the same people from back then. So there you have, that's Rabbi Lawrence, who happens to be called Moshiach, his birth name, Rabbi Lawrence Hagiel. That's a double standard you can see there. So the Egyptians of today are not descended from the Mizrahim, but you are descended from the ancient Israelites. I mean, think about that just for a moment. I mean, those people, what do they have? Most of them are illiterate, probably peasants. Couldn't read or write. Shut in a hole in the ground. Didn't have electric lights, electric appliances. Didn't have cars or planes. What are you saying? All right. Maybe human nature hasn't changed all that much since then, but the level of intelligence and cerebral and scientific knowledge has increased without a doubt. I mean, within the space of 100 to 200 years, in the Industrial Revolution, man has become a completely different creature. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I think you're, going up the wrong path with that one. Getting back to the October 7th thing, which seems to be the catalyst for all this Mashiach fever, this Messiah madness, Messianic madness, there's an increasing amount of evidence that's being suppressed that October the 7th was an inside job, in fact, and that there have been a handful of ex-IDF intelligence officers who came forward in videos on Facebook and on X, Twitter, stating that there's no way that the Israeli government could have allowed that to happen with what is probably the most advanced shield protection, protective shield on the planet, without the authorization of the Israeli government, whereby the Hamas militants could infiltrate and carry out the atrocities. And besides that, it was the Israeli army which carried out the Hannibal Directive and massacred a whole lot of Israeli people using Apache helicopters. And this is information that the Israeli government is actually just suppressing. And anyone who comes forward with that in Israel could face a 5-year jail sentence. Anyone who's proposes an alternative narrative for the October 7th events. The fact is, who orchestrated October 7th? Well, I went into this in my earlier video. It's where everyone knows in the awakening movement that it's the Cabal. Who are the Cabal? It's the Illuminati. And the Illuminati was a cult of wealthy Jewish academics, among whom were the Rothschilds. And they've been carrying on their nefarious activities for the past 248 years. And there's a nice video which you can watch, 4 minutes, a synopsis of the origins and the workings of the Illuminati, the history and the origins and workings of the Illuminati by Robert Sepper, called 1666 Redemption Through Sin. And, I've left the links in the description box below. I mean, I've also discovered when I got into the subject matter, the Sabbatean Frankists, that a lot of these, most, if not all, the regimes of the world are run by puppets. Iran, Khomeini was a Freemason trained puppet, and the Saudis are also Sabbateans or Turkish Jewish origin. So there you have it, what more do you need to know? You don't need to know anything more than that this cabal has been making life difficult for everyone, including Jews. They orchestrated the Holocaust. They created Hitler. Hitler was a 33rd degree Freemason. You see, the Illuminati infiltrated and fused with Freemasonry. And it's composed of wealthy Jewish and Christian and atheists and satanic families from Europe and America. That's the cult, the satanic cult that rules the world. And they don't revere Sabbatai Zevi. I'm not sure if they do that anymore. But certainly his idea is antinomianism, creating sin in order to expedite the coming of the Moshiach. There's an excerpt from the Talmud, SANHEDRIN 98a, which states, "The Son of David will come when all are innocent or all are guilty." Or it's actually in a generation when all are innocent or all are guilty. This their credo, their modus operandi, is to create as much evil and make everyone evil, because that way the Mashiach will come quicker. And batshit crazy as it sounds, that's what they believe. That's what you have to come to terms with if you're a Jew and unaware of this, and stop thinking this is a conspiracy theory, because I myself and a handful of other people, probably quite a few people now, are in the know about this. And the more people that are in the know, we realize that this cult, this satanic cult or sect within Judaism, heretic sect, has been acting as a Trojan horse within Judaism and within Christianity. They infiltrated all these things. They're promoting transgenderism and homosexuality, pedophilia, and all the rest of it. They're very adept at covering their tracks. As I said, they're like a Trojan horse, so you never suspect them. You can have a look. They orchestrate the Holocaust. I've left a link to 6 million PDF, so there may not have been 6 million who died in the Holocaust, but I don't want to get into that, the controversial issue, but certainly the magic number of 6 million was fabricated by them, these Kabbalistic satanic Jews, satanic Kabbalists. Furthermore, the Palestinians are not Amalekites. That's something about Judaism. You see, modern Judaism is presentism, projecting the ancient past onto the present. The Palestinians are not Amalekites, they're not descendants of the Philistines either, but they're actually descendants of Canaanites, and DNA studies have shown that this clearly is the case. In the mitzvot of Maimonides, which is, again, this is outmoded and outdated and really needs to be re-examined, in my opinion. It states, not to I'll go into them in a moment, but neither the 7 Canaanite nations, Ammonites, Moabites, and Amalekites exist anymore, neither in the present day nor in the time of Maimonides. And from the mitzvot, these are the 4 or 5 mitzvot which seem quite out of place, if you ask me. 601, not to keep alive any individual of the 7 Canaanite nations, Deuteronomy 20:16. 602, mitzvot 602, to exterminate the 7 Canaanite nations from the land of Israel, Deuteronomy 20:17. Mitzvot 607, not to offer peace to the Ammonites and the Moabites before waging war on them, as should be done to other nations, Deuteronomy 23:7. 611, always to remember what Amalek did, Deuteronomy 25:17. 612, that the evil done to us by Amalek should not be forgotten, Deuteronomy 25:19. 613, the final mitzvot, to destroy the seed of Amalek, Deuteronomy 25:19. Go get him. Now, my question to you as an Orthodox Jew, what did Amalek do to you, personally? Why did you tell your therapist? What did Amalek do to you? And when did it happen? Can you remember? Obviously, it's a very bothersome issue for you. Amalek doesn't exist, does it? No. Neither do the Moabites, neither is Persia, Paras. This has all been set up. Okay. You can have a few more laughs. I mean, so bunkum. Why don't see? Judaism has got its own set of dogmas. Islam I've looked at as well. All of them, you name it, Christianity, Christ insanity, Hinduism. You take the best in what makes sense, rational sense, and gives you a sense of peace and connectedness, and you just ignore the rest, discard the rest. I've left the links to the 613 mitzvot below. And by the way, no, Abraham never existed. There's no evidence that he existed. And I went into this in another video, I think, about Abraham and Brahma, probably the Hindu god Brahma, and the Jews came from India. And the Exodus never happened. Here's a quote from Israel Finkelstein, who is the author of biblical archaeologist, top-ranking biblical archaeologist, who wrote a book called The Bible on Earth. It is now evident that the events of biblical history did not take place in either the particular era or the manner described. Some of the most famous events in the Bible clearly never happened at all. So I recommend you check out his book, The Bible on Earth, which he wrote with Neil Asher Silverman. And there's about, 7 or 8 or 9 leading biblical archaeologists in the field, leading experts in the field of biblical archaeology, who are all unanimous about this. Shlomo Sand, Ashraf Ezzat, just to name a couple. Patriarchs, Exodus, Conquests, Facts or Fiction. There's a nice lecture he gives, Israel Finkelstein, about this. He's also of the opinion that the invasion of Canaan by the Israelites never happened, and that the Israelites are in fact Canaanites of the lower classes who rose up and in rebellion against the Canaanite rulers, the elites, during the civilizational collapse that happened of the Canaanite civilization in the 12th century BC, Bronze Age collapse, which happened right through the Mediterranean. Even the Exodus never happened. There's no evidence in any of the Egyptian records of either pharaohs or Israelites. Maybe there were Jews there called the Habiru, the Israelites, the Habiru in Israel, in Egypt, I beg your pardon. But there's no record of any great exodus, nor of any plagues, nor of any wanderings in the desert. They didn't find any trace of any of these archaeological trace of any artifacts in the Sinai desert in Egypt. Maybe we can just discount all of that and deal with facts, deal with reality. Did King David and King Solomon and Solomon really exist? Again, the recent archaeology has shown us that there was no trace of a big, vast kingdom of King Solomon with 300 wives and 3,000 concubines. No trace of the temple was found, and King David was probably just a local warlord, a sort of a tribal chieftain with, a few thousand men, in an encampment like you see in Gaza. So, the whole thing was fabricated a lot of this was propaganda, retrofit. They created a narrative during the reign of King Josiah, and placed a lot of events in the past to fit a fictional narrative that supported his ascendancy. And that's the upshot of what Israel Finkelstein was trying to state in his lectures and his work. So, my question is, if this is all false, then we must ask ourselves, what is true and what is real? If all these events were historically inaccurate, and I'll go so far as to say that the myths of the Bible and the Torah, the famous stories of the flood, and the Garden of Eden, the Tower of Babel, the Book of Job, may well have been plagiarized or copied or ripped off, or in some way dependent on earlier tellings of myths from Sumer, Babylon, and Akkad in Egypt. Even the Ten Commandments are said to be ripped off, or let's say influenced, dependent upon the Chronicles of Ani, the Egyptian commandments, which are much more extensive and really much more stringent than the Ten Commandments created by the elite to control the masses. You've got the story of the Garden of Eden. The word Eden is, in fact, in Sumerian language, is Eden. And that's the story of Adamu, Adapa, and Enki in the tree of immortality, and how Adapa was expelled from the Garden of Eden, Eden, Adapa, and Titi, Adam and Eve, and prevented from taking the fruit of the tree of life by Enki, tricked out of it. You've got the Noah's Ark story, which is from the Sumerian myth in the Gilgamesh epic of Sudra and Enki. Enki told Enlil, the Sumerian Anuna god, Enlil wanted to destroy humanity with a flood because they were making too much noise. And Enki warned Sudra, who's also known in another myth as another telling as Utnapishtim, and a much older Akkadian for telling as Atrahasis. He was told to build a ship, build a boat. So that's where the Noah's Ark story comes from. And, again, where the evidence for Noah's Ark. And, so you're dealing with a whole lot of fabrications or copies or accounts, dependent on earlier accounts, how you want to see it. So if all of this is false, then what is true and what is real? Well, the answer must be that God, or the synonyms for God, peace, enlightenment, self, is real, here and now. And that's all you have. The rest is just dogma that's been created by the priestly caste in whichever religious faith in Judaism as a means to control the masses. And you see the same thing happening now. A priestly caste rising up via YouTube, via social media, to shepherd the masses, get them to practice all the stipulations, be good boys and girls, so that the Moshiach will come and reward them with with their utopian life. And then you've got that other whole thing. You have to believe, Christians believe the same thing, so do Muslims. The resurrection of the dead, the zombie resurrection. I mean, you really want to believe that? That the dead will rise up from their graves? Why not just, what would you be? Who would you be without these beliefs anyway? Would you be any better off or worse off for all these things which come from the human past? They're all the dead past. They're all the human past, stuff that men and women created in their minds. Even if you follow pagan religion, it's still the old dead past. If you seek the pagan alternative, you look at the Sumerian gods or the Hindu gods or whatever. I mean, if you do, good luck with that. That's your good right. But, when all of this falls away, all you're left with is just being here now. And that being is where you find your answers. I am is the name of God, I am. And that's all. That's the redemption. Isn't that enough? If you can feel peace, because God is just a synonym for peace. When you're searching God, the only reason you're looking for God is so you can end your suffering. So what you're really looking for is peace and an end to suffering. So you don't have to believe in God, that God will do it. In fact, God and peace are synonymous, aren't they? When you find God, you find peace. So whichever word you use, you don't have to use a word. The point is, you feel it in your heart and your mind, your brain, you feel peace in your body. And it's so simple. All these utopian idealistic tropes, they can't match up to the transcendence of the real physical living presence, which is just your life as it is. You can find these answers through meditation, through stillness, through inquiring into yourself. And that's about all I have to say about it. So I'll leave you with that. So I wish you all the best. Shalom. Namaste.